ready?
Yes.
Oh, no, that was a shitty one. Let's do another one. Oh, that was a bad one too.
Take
Are you
three.
good with it? Take three? Okay.
Oh, that was perfect.
That was the best one.
Yes.
C'est quoi ça? Elle sortait d'où? Tu sais qu'il y a un virus qui circule, non?
Pardon,
Julia, thank you. Thank you for sitting with us today. So I've got a few questions here. And the first one we want to say, like, you're obviously a very visual director and seem to have like a firm idea of what you want. So how do you approach a scene? How do you know where to place the camera, where to move the camera?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Thank you for asking it. To start with, the visual aspect of my film is already there in the writing, in the script. In my writing process, I'm also extremely visual. I tend to describe basically the scene that I have in my head. My only limit is that I don't put any mention of the camera through the script because it would make the reading extremely tedious. So I don't do that, but I talk a lot about even the light, even the sound effects, the CGIs, anything, the set design. I mean, my scripts are extremely precise because I consider that they are a tool that I create for the crew, and that everyone who reads it and appropriate it for themselves within the crew should be able to have a clear idea from the get-go, from the reading, as far as where we are going, what's the direction we're going to take. So it's already very visual in my head every time. This being said, the question of where to put the camera is a very good one, because I don't know if you realize it while asking me this question, but it's actually a very existential one. The choices that you make with the camera are one, to me, is the continuity of the writing. I consider that you keep writing your film with the camera, with the direction of your actors, and with any decision basically that you make on set. To me, the writing doesn't stop after, you know, the last draft of the script. It continues on, and it goes on afterwards in post-production as well, obviously in editing, but also in all the choices you're going to make for your special effects, sound design, and all this. The question of where to put the camera is existential, because it's the place where you constantly question yourself as far as the distance to your scene is concerned, and as far as the emotion you want to convey is concerned, and as far as your goal for this particular scene is concerned. It's a build-up, take after take. When you do many takes, it's not just to repeat the same thing over again and to think, oh, I have enough material in editing. Not at all. Doing many takes means creating a build-up with your actors, with your DP, with your sound engineer, to create a build-up aiming for the essence of the scene. You have to know that I start the shooting with a very, very steady shot list. I do many drafts of shot listing ahead in preparation, because I think that the steadier you are with your shot list, the more adaptable you can become on set. The more you know where you're going, the more you're going to be able to adapt to any obstacles that are going to present themselves on set, because you know what your intention is, you put it on paper, you decided, for example, that it was going to be a close-up and then a track back going on that way, stuff like this. It sounds good in your head, but sometimes when you do the setup with the actors and the camera, you realize that what sounded good in your head doesn't actually pan up very well, that it feels a little bit flat, a little bit off, or not precise enough. But because you know where you're going and what your original intention was, it's easier to change direction and say, no, listen, I said we would do this, but we're actually going to do the opposite, started on a wide, coming into the shot and stuff like this. And coming again back to this existential aspect, I'm going to give you a very specific example. To me, as I've realized, throughout my film, it's actually easier to shoot a one-er that lasts 5 minutes, which is very long for a one-er, with 500 extras, a crane movement, and a whole choreography with the camera, which I did on Titan for the one-er when she enters the car show. This sounds incredibly hard, and it is technically hard, but once you've rehearsed this many times, it's just getting better and better as far as the technical aspect is concerned for every technician behind the camera. But, it doesn't engage you as a person take after take. The only goal is to make it technically the best, But when you shoot a scene where it's just dialogue in a room, where the dialogue is actually very emotional or very confrontational, and that you're asking a lot from your actors, the question of where I put the camera becomes way more difficult. Because basically, that you have actors who are giving you their all every time, and take after take, you direct them again to aim at something that is quite essential, towards where all we're going. But with your camera, the question is, how do I elevate the emotion, and how do I elevate their intentions to reach the right note, if you wish. So to just do a single, shot, reverse shot with your camera, you take after take, you wonder, is it the right distance for the camera? Is it the right angle? And is it the right lens that I have chosen in order to both respect the actors and at the same time be at the core of the emotion, but not be overly voyeuristic, not be too close, like you have the limit of decency in a way that you don't want to breach. And this is really a matter almost of life and death at every little steps. That it feels like they are the easiest scenes to shoot because they're not technical per se, but they are actually the most difficult ones, I believe. That was a freaking long answer, I apologize.
No, that's a super interesting answer. That's really interesting because, I think most people would think those huge one-ers, like you say, are the things that take the most, but I guess that's more like a dance that you're rehearsing and then...
Yeah, exactly, it's a choreography.
And then on like music then, because there's some amazing music in this, and there's like Portishead, there's Nick Cave, there's Tame Impala, among others, and they're obviously not composed for the film, but they feel like they fit those scenes so right, it just feels right. So do you have that at the writing stage? And are they in the script?
Yes. I mean, every time for all my films, the songs have already been in the scripts from the get-go almost. And then there are songs that throughout the writing process, I'm going to listen to over and over and over again. The issue is that usually they're some of my favorite songs in the world. And then after the film is finished, I can never listen to them ever again. So I'm kind of spoiling myself very much, which is a shame though, but I still do need them. And the reason why they are present in the script, which by the way makes it super hard on my musical supervisor, because one, if they're in the script, it means I will never change, it's not a whim. I'm not gonna decide in edit room, oh, I don't like the feel of it on this scene, I'm gonna take something else. I never change them. And usually I use them entirely. And usually they are big hits. So in terms of budget, it's a big hole in the budget. And so it's always like giving cold sweats to my musical supervisor who's in charge of the negotiation, because he knows that for me, there are no negotiations. I need these songs and I need them entirely. The reason why I use hits is because I believe that they create a sense of communion within us and the audience, because we all have these songs attached to some memories that are more or less fond, that are more or less nice memories, but it is attached to something in us. And that creates an umbilical cord between all the audience members and the film at the same time. That's why I like to use big hits like this. I think that, for example, someone like Xavier Dolan does it perfectly as well. He's what we call apparently now needle drop. I had no idea, but it's a word that I learned this year. Well, he does it perfectly. What in Mummy, especially the use of music in Mummy is outstanding. And there is this skateboard shot where I believe it's Wonderwall by Oasis. That gave me chills, because obviously this is something that just like, you know, rocked me into my entire teenage years, this song. It's so many memories, and seeing this shot where the character is so free on his skateboard, and something so liberating about it, that really strikes a very intimate chord, and he does it perfectly. And so that's also the way I like to use hits, you know, in order to strike that intimate chord. And lastly, I want to say that finally the reason why they're in the script and that I can't move to something else is because I use them for the lyrics. The lyrics are extremely important to me, because the same way as I use, for example, the Edgar Allan Poe poem in the film A Dream Within a Dream, well, I use the songs the same way. It's a way for me to have access to the inner voices of my character. To me, the lyrics are actually the voices of my character, what they can't say or what they repress, that actually the singer is saying for them or instead of them, like, you know, substituting his or her voice to the inner voices of my character, and that's why it can't change, because it's like a dialogue.
Very good. I hope the record companies don't hear that, because they'll just like to try and rinse you more then. You're just like, oh yeah, I don't actually like it that much, but I do.
Oh my God, I spoiled myself. I shot myself in the foot here.
We won't let any we won't let any record companies hear that. Your poor music supervisor's job just got even tougher.
Well, you know, again, as I said, I'm adaptable though.
Yes, very good, very good. Down the lens, yeah. So, wink, wink. So, talking about things clicking really well. So Tahar was saying that you're his Lego director.
Yes.
You've heard this, okay?
Oh, we've been calling each other that for a long time now.
So maybe tell people why he calls you the Lego director first.
He calls me the Lego character because, I mean, Tahar believes that the best way to get to know a director is on set, and especially on the first day and the first take, and that he has a sense of how the relationship is going to be throughout the entire shooting from that day, from the first take, the first day. And it's true that to us it's instantly natural. It was so organic. I think we really do speak the same language, and by the end of the shooting I didn't even need to finish my sentences for him to understand what I meant right away. And so in that way it clicked incredibly. But what I remind him often is that this is not like something that is a miracle that came from, that fell down on us and that we were lucky enough to pick up. This is actually the result of a lot of preparation work. A lot. And he tends to omit that, which I really kudos to him, because it means that how important that is to him. But the reason why we also clicked so much on the first day, on the first take of shooting Alpha, is because we spent months and months talking to each other and completely opening up to each other as far as the themes of the movie are concerned, but also like talking about our deep wounds or things that things that we would never want to become public about ourselves, our shames, our fears, our hurt, our family history, all masks off completely. And he was a very good sport for that. And I believe as a director that when you ask so much from an actor, physically, psychologically, and emotionally, you cannot get anything from them, or even demand anything from them, if you don't open up 100% yourself, and if you don't give yourself to them as well. It's not a matter of give and take. No one takes care. It's just give constantly, which we did with a lot of honesty and heart, and sometimes with a lot of hurt as well. We cried together and stuff like this. And that's why we clicked so hard also on the first day, the first take, because we were in a level of trust that made us feel like we had already worked together many times before.
Yeah. And we've got to wrap up now, so sadly I can't ask you more questions about that, but that would be very interesting. So I'm just going to give you one that we ask everyone, which is, where do you like to sit in the cinema?
I love that one. This, you know that this has changed. This evolves a lot. I love that throughout your lifetime, you know, it really has changed a lot. When I was younger, so teenage years, I'm going to start even earlier. Okay, bear with me. It's quite a long journey, okay? So when I was a child, I was very fearful. I was an incredibly fearful child. And I was scared of the theater because it was dark. And also because I got traumatized very early on when I went on a school trip to an old theater in Paris to watch a movie called The Red Balloon by Albert Lamorisse, which is, it's an institution in French cinema. It's a very old movie. It's black and white except for the balloon that is red. A little bit like what you see in Schindler's List with the red, it's the same treatment of the image with the red coat on the little girl. So it's the story basically of a young boy who, roams around Paris, and we see Paris and you have all these postcard shots in black and white, and he has this balloon, and at the end, the kid just flies away with his red balloon, right? Well, it sounds like a children's movie, doesn't it? Well, all I saw when I was a child watching it, I think I must be 5 or 6, I felt the utter depression of that film. Like it really pierced me. I felt that obviously at the end he dies. I mean, this is really not so subtle an allegory to understand that the boy dies. I'm not sure why, to be honest, but it's still like him flying away cannot be something else. I felt that this movie was so melancholy, that was so sad, that traumatized me. And that was my first experience in a theater, bear with me. When I got out of it, I was like, never again. I felt like I was going, in a haunted house, basically. So it kind of traumatized me. And then I went back, but I was still afraid of the dark and because of the trauma of the situation. So I would only sit behind, close to the exit, because I wanted to have the option to run away if I have to. So that's how fearful I was. But I was also fearful of taking the subway because when we go in the tunnel, it all goes dark. So, I was this kind of child. My mom was very worried about me. Probably still is. But so it started from behind. Then, when I started making my own choices and stuff like this, age, 10, 11, 12, I started to brace myself a bit more, and I found solace and comfort in horror movies. Because basically, as I said, as I was fearful, horror movies allowed me to kind of like have control over my most irrational fears in a safe place. And in a way, they made me feel braver, and in that way, stronger as well. So that's when I started like going head on into theaters. First row to get everything. I was like, bring it on, I can take it, whatever the film is. But it started to be horror movies. And like, bring it on, I can take it, the sounds, the seats vibrating, the colors, all this. And I remember, because when you're in the first row, in a small theater, in an indie theater, you can't see the entire screen, you have to do like this. It's almost like a VR experience, because you have to look everywhere in the screen to not miss anything. And I certainly did not want to miss a thing. So I was constantly navigating the screen like this, which is very, very immersive. And that's, I think, one of my first desire to reproduce this immersive experience stems from. And then getting older, your hearing starts to get pretty bad, and your sight as well. I mean, I'm 42 now, and I have to read 45 degrees in front of me, otherwise I can't read anything anymore. And then, I'm very much more sensitive to sound than I was when I was younger. So now I take the very, very safe middle seat on the middle row spot, because this is where you get the best balance. So I wish I could go back to the front row, but unfortunately, I mean, we all age. So
you've ended up where Tahar was. That's what he said. Bullseye in the centre.
Bullseye.
And you're both the first people who've ever told me that. I've asked that question of loads of people, and that's where I sit. But I've always been there. I didn't have a journey around the cinema. For the record, that is the longest answer to that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I'm striking a record today. Thank you.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.